I've had a ton of different people send me videos of this poor filly, and I just wanted to talk about it because this just paints social media being used in such a bad light to normalize and make fun of horse stress behavior, even with babies. Basically, a lot of the comments are surrounded by the idea of saying this filly needs an exorcism, and she has a pretty significant shoulder injury, as you can see, but I want to point out the fact that adrenaline is a hell of a drug. When animals are really stressed, they can do miraculous things and it'll actually numb the sensation of pain, which is what we're seeing here. She is so incredibly stressed that the pain that her shoulder is causing her is not going to be noticed as much. There's a ton of different videos of this filly basically freaking out while in the stall or tied, and she has such a high level of anxiety in all of the videos, and they're just calling her the devil incarnate and saying that she needs her demons exorcised. The wounds being self-inflicted is besides the point, because those wounds probably existed from an exceptionally high degree of stress. In another video, they said that she did the shoulder injury because she tried to jump over a fence. I would be willing to bet money that that was related to either the weaning process, her being separated from other horses, or being trained in a manner where she felt she had no escape and she was so panic-stricken that she chose to try to jump out for the escape. So while they're technically self-inflicted, I would actually argue that they're human-inflicted because the people are the ones that put her in this situation. And if it was beginner horse people taking care of her at that time, that's a mistake that can happen due to negligence and just not being aware of how to handle a young horse. But that said, now she's with people who are calling themselves trainers. And they're still having her be in this high degree of stress and wording all of these videos about her as if she's just some demon horse that has problems and is exceptionally problematic and just bad. They're calling her Bad Baby as her name because they're just saying that she is the devil. This is not a naughty horse. This is an exceptionally stressed horse. And honestly, it's really hard to watch such a young horse be under this degree of stress and have people mocking it, laughing at it, and posting video after video where they just find this funny. Also, the level of stress she's under and how reactive she's being is not going to help with this wound being healed. They've been saying that she needs to be on stall rest for the wound, but then they're having her so stressed that she's behaving in a manner that is much more dangerous to healing than it would be if she was in a calmer situation with maybe more space. The language being used too to describe her stress behavior, like hissy fit, is worded in a way where she's just being bad for the sake of being bad. And that she's always trying to get her way, instead of looking at it through the lens of she's not trying to get her way, she's trying to get away from what she perceives as an immense threat to her safety. This filly is fucking terrified. Any training scenario where you're seeing people highly stress an animal first, where they're getting so incredibly stressed and big in their behaviors before you see the calm, is likely relying on shutdown as a way of training. They're basically just physically and mentally exhausting the animal from flooding them with stress until they give up. That's not really progress unless you just don't care about well-being at all. This is a very young horse, and there's a number of different pathways that could be taken to help reduce her anxiety that don't involve just flooding her with the stuff that's stressing her out. In a lot of these clips, including the tying ones and the ones in the stalls, she has no food in front of her. Giving her some hay to eat would be a really great start, but she might be so stressed that she's not willing to eat. And if that's the case, honestly, having her with a quiet friend in a paddock that's big enough for 2 horses or a foaling-sized stall is probably going to be less detrimental to the healing of the wound than having her behave like that in the stall. Or this would be a really good case for sedation if the owners truly aren't prepared to deal with her and don't know what to do and they don't know how to handle this stress behavior. Because leaving an animal to be in this state of distress is just not ethical, nor is it going to help her heal well. I don't care about the fact that this person calls themselves a trainer because their language and how they're describing these behaviors shows that they fundamentally do not understand where they stem from. They're viewing it as bad behavior and like she's just being bad for the sake of being bad instead of looking at it through the lens of this is an incredibly stressed baby who's probably been traumatized in some capacity and is having a very hard time coping. I can guarantee you that this filly probably has severe ulcers, both from the weaning process and all of the subsequent stress that we're witnessing in all of these videos, and the pain of the injury and the trauma of that accident as well. She needs compassion, understanding, patience, and systematic training that actually addresses why she is behaving in the manner that she is, instead of just looking at her as the bad horse, laughing at her, calling her the devil incarnate, and using her for content. This is not good horse training. It's not good horsemanship. It's an indicator of someone who is calling themselves a trainer, but fundamentally does not understand horse behavior because they're not viewing these stress behaviors for what they are. And it is rendering them compassionless in a setting where this filly needs compassion and patience instead of people who are angered, frustrated, and impatient with her behavior.